It is a very good morning to you all and welcome to the Breakfast Club right here on a.k.a. My name is Fungai Mawada. Today we are focusing on the arts. I am joined in the studio by a young man who has not only released an EP but a book as well at the same time. I am talking about none other than Luminous, and his real name is actually Tinashe Mtetwa. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well. And how are you?
I'm great, thanks. So, I'm absolutely fascinated by the EP, obviously, and the book as well. I remember I was gasping as I was reading it. I was just like, oh, so many revelations. But I think it's important for us to go back to who is Tinashe Mtetwa, where were you born? That way we can understand the book and the EP as well.
Oh, I feel you. I was born in Lady Rodwell Hospital, 4 p.m. on a Saturday. A baby boy, Mtaka Mandlovu. I've always been in Kolomane, brought up there, but got the opportunity to travel around, live in different places, get friends from different areas. So that kind of always shaped my worldview. It wasn't like limited to one area or one neighborhood. You know, like I would know ngafika Makwek or the Lingo, or if I'm in Bluffville, Harare, whatever it is. So yeah, I have a different way to view the world. I love food. Like I'm such a foodie, and a foodie that knows how to cook as well. So yeah, I'm good. I'm not bothering anybody's child. I love music. I've always been in love with stories. That's why I fell in love with hip hop or reading books. Sasingela TV as a kid, because Amasela decided to break into a house and steal. You know what I mean? So novels became my entertainment. So I read everything, magazines, newspapers, whatever. And my mom was a teacher as well. So it forced us really to use the mind to escape the reality when you didn't like it, but it also shaped how you see the reality in the present moment.
And how was your reality growing up?
It was a bit hectic. It was everything. But we know when as a kid you don't realize what you're going through until you're out of it. It's like when you get to like 18, then you're like, snap, apple, you know what I mean? But I was raised by a single parent, family split when I was a kid. So yeah, my mom was a teacher, and the split around the time the economy just went. So it was really tough on her. It kind of toughens you up as a kid, but you don't see that you're broke until you're like in high school. So as a kid, it really didn't bother me, and my community was tight knit. So when my mother wasn't able, neighbors pitched in, you know, and also my mom was diagnosed with like bipolar. So in and out of hospital visits, sometimes we have to stay with our uncle and stuff. So part of that kind of shapes your worldview because you constantly moving around. I changed schools quite a lot, especially primary school. I think I went to about 4 schools. Same thing with secondary and high school. So that was really my childhood, but we still had fun. And I think that's what made me like to tell stories, because it kind of helped me escape the reality.
Okay, so recently in Bulawayo, there have been talks, obviously, of people have been writing suicide notes. I'm sorry to touch on this, but I think it's very important. People have been writing suicide notes on social media and the likes. People that you think are having like a normal life, like every other person who's here. How important is it for us when we talk about mental health? Because you've experienced it through the eyes of your mother, and of course living the situation as well as a child. How was that for you, and why is it important for us to address mental health issues as well?
Yeah, I think it's been considered so much of a taboo that we are scared to admit when we're dealing with it. That's where the problem starts. So if we facilitate an environment that is conducive enough for people to be open when they're struggling, to be like, because for me with my friends, even if I'm not feeling okay, if I don't understand how I'm feeling, I'll just be like, yo, boys, I'm struggling with something. I don't know what it is, but I just don't feel like myself. And what that does, it kind of like preempts them, and they start thinking like, okay, how can we best support? Sometimes you got to be careful because certain things that you say that set people off. So you never know. I was actually having a conversation at work today, and we were talking about like how you don't know how your words could be the last thing or deciding factor for someone whether or not they want to leave or not. So we're all dealing with everything. So I was going to ask you to say people that you think are having a normal life, but struggle is part of normal life. You can't separate struggle from everyday life. We are all struggling with things. At some point, people reach a breaking point. They're overwhelmed. Some people make it out, some people don't. So the moment we take away the stigma that comes with suicide, then we realize like, no, we can be there for each other in a way that prevents people from going overboard.
Okay, very interesting. So now let's talk about your EP, Love, Sex, and the Gospel.
Yeah.
I mean, like even the title is like, pardon me.
Yeah.
What brought that about?
Those themes, those topics. I wish I had a smart answer, but it was just like making songs, and I was like, oh, okay, if I make, because the book came first, and then creating a soundtrack for the book, then exploring the different themes, where I was like, okay, cool, I want to explore these topics in a way that shows the vanity of it, like, and how distorted our view of love and sex are through the lens of scripture. Because at the core of my being, I'm a believer, and so that kind of shapes my worldview, right? And so I just wanted to touch on those topics and creatively explore those themes and tell stories to people.
So do you consider yourself a Christian rapper, or just a rapper who then just happened to explore the avenue of Christianity rather in music?
I'm a Christian first before anything. I usually use this analogy, like my mother doesn't go around saying I have a Christian son, you know, but how I carry myself as a son is informed by my faith. So that's how I see music. Whatever you do, you never hear anybody say that's a Muslim rapper, or that's a person who loves to rap about lady body parts. You know, they're a rapper, and then people just spew out whatever is in their hearts. So at the core of my being, I'm a believer. So I will talk about relationships, I'll talk about a party, I'll talk about the state of the nation, anything that everybody else talks about. But my worldview just so happens to revolve around my faith.
All right. So as a young man, when we're talking about your EP, Love, Sex and the Gospel EP and stuff like that, it's not often that someone your age would come out and confess what possibly 90% of guys are going through.
Oh, fact.
You know, so what was the push factor for you, and have you found the outcome as well from what you've done with your project as well?
Oh yeah, I'm that person. You know, like I was telling you before we started rolling, like the same person you hear when you listen to my music, the same person you see on stage, the same person you read about when you read my book or an article, whatever. I'm that guy. Right, I'm not gonna be out here and be like, oh yeah, cool rapper. Someone said I don't fit the normal description of a rapper, because I'm so honest. Like in my music, what you hear is what you get. So talking about it for me, it was just almost like having a conversation with you off camera or with any of my friends, right? But I know at the back of my mind that whatever you're feeling as a person, there's a billion other people feeling the same thing or going through the same thing, right? And touching back on, like referring back to what you were talking about, mental health, even if you're dealing with stuff mentally, there's other people dealing with it. But what mental health does and depression does, it secludes you and you feel like you're alone. So writing that, you kind of have to break away from that. When you're making music as a creative and all these other things, you have to know that there's other people that resonate with what you say and they'll gravitate towards your voice. So that's what I try to do with my art.
And when you're doing that, because I was actually like, the nerve, like the guts to actually do this, because, you know, we all do some crazy stuff, you know, as young people. I mean, like, guaranteed we've done crazy stuff, and you're like, oh, why did I do that? I have regrets and the likes. But for you to then, okay, it's one thing to confess to your creator and say, okay, God, I'm sorry I did this and that. But to then expose yourself, literally, because you literally expose yourself in this. Wasn't there a second when you're like, but Luminous, it kind of taking you too far, or you're just like,
not even, because if I'm not ready to talk about something, I'm not going to talk about it. But I am not afraid to show my scars, so someone can have the courage to open up their wounds. You know, so it's like, yeah, let's just have a conversation, because I do it every time I make a song. So I'm gonna fillet myself in the same way I fillet myself in music, so that people can listen and be like, oh, I see myself in that. And like you said, the testimonials that have been coming through, people saying like, yo, you finally given me the answers for things I've been dealing with for like years. So those are the things that have been encouraging for me. Like I created this just thinking I'm making something that I feel like people will enjoy. But then someone comes to you and says, this is the first time I'm opening up about my childhood trauma. This is the first time I've had the answers. I mean, even if when you read the book, the editor's note, I asked him to put him there because he sent me that as a voice note. I'm like, yo, can you share that so that people can also read with an open mind? So for me, that's like, yeah, it's been a success when I hear those stories.
All right, so this is the book, The Confessions of a Fornicator. I can say it. Yes. Okay, so what was the inspiration?
Oh, man. Storytelling.
Like on the first day that you actually sat down, you're like, I'm writing this book, I'm doing it. What happened?
Storytelling. Took a walk with my friend Alan, walking him to his house, and halfway through we're having a conversation. We're just like, bro, if I was God, I would have destroyed me by now, the things I've done. right? And so we're bouncing, exchanging stories. I'm like, man, I actually want to get home and chronicle this and write it. And there was no malicious intentions or anything. Like, I just want to chronicle this. And I get home, I start typing. I couldn't stop. I write. And so I send it to a few friends of mine. I'm like, yo, read this. And they're like, this is actually dope. And one of my friends was like, this is the first time, because he doesn't like reading. But I was like, this is the first time I couldn't stop reading a book. So like, I think you should put this out. So it just came from love of telling stories and chronicling things and just communicating. These are things that I love doing, so yeah.
And your book touches on different themes in different ways.
Yeah.
Like there's a part where you talk about, I've forgotten the girl's name, but she falls pregnant.
Oh, yeah,
or you guys think you're pregnant
yeah.
and you're having a hard time trying to swallow the food.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is horrible. Which is something a lot of young people go through and stuff like that. And you talk about depression as well.
Yeah.
You also talk about how you condomize, not because you're trying to be, a good person and, follow God's law and the likes. Very raw.
Yeah.
Like, any regrets?
Nah, in terms of what, writing the book?
Writing the book and letting it out. Because one thing to write, but then letting it out for the masses to read as well.
There's no regrets with that. Regrets in how I conducted myself in some situations, yes. But no regrets in talking about those situations. Because, like I said, showing my scars so people can have the courage to open up their wounds. I can't regret that, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't have put that out. The moment I would have typed that and someone said, are you sure you want to put this out? I would have been like, hey, you're right. Let me take it out. But the fact that now it's been published and it's out there, like, yo, I'm good. Like, I hope it communicates to you and you see yourself in the story.
All right. So what are the future plans for Luminous
going
forward?
Yeah, first off is Friday late. We're headlining that, co-headlining that with some brilliant artists by a.k.a. 29 July. I'll be doing a set from the EP with the live band. It's going to be exciting, right? I'll be selling the merchandise, selling the book as well at the store. So people can come through and we can meet, we can chop it up and they can enjoy the performance. But other than that, we're starting to roll out the videos because from the project, the whole project is a conceptual offering, right? From the start. So the idea is it's pillow talk. And that's where now the conversation of the whole EP stems from. So now we're taking parts of the EP, a few songs, and creating like a visual story, like a series. So we're starting to roll those out. So that's the other thing. That's next. People can follow me and make sure they don't miss an upload and come through to the show. I promise you, I'm one of the best performers you've never seen. Hey, I got a laugh and a smile. Hey, I made it, mama. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I can't really tell you. I'm not one of those guys that believe in like what you're going to be doing in 5 years. What if I'm not here in 5 years, right? The only thing I believe in is in this moment, I'm going to be the best at whatever I do. I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I hope you enjoy the journey.
All right, and then just out of curiosity, because you are a rapper and the likes, and rap gets a lot of flack in them. People always debate about it, like who's the best rapper, who should open for Rick Ross and the likes. What is your thoughts on the Zimbabwe rap industry?
I think I saw a tweet somewhere says it's going through a renaissance stage, and I agree because now there's a variety, right? And not even just the rap industry, the Zim music industry is now opening up to like having more than one person being the face of Zim music at a time. Because there was a time where it was only Mtukudzi, it was only Winged D, but now we are having a space where you can have more than one great artist be in a space at the same time. People can like different artists. So I feel like that's also happening for hip-hop because there's been a lot of people pushing the limit. And so now that has opened us up to a whole new market, casual listeners and people that are turning into core fans. So which allows people like me to come and do a project like this, which normally Zimbabweans would be closed off to, right? And so I think that's something beautiful, and if you keep an open mind, you're going to enjoy. You're going to be part of history because it's history in the making.
Okay, so obviously there's some people who haven't listened to your music or to your EP because it just released on Friday.
Yeah.
Where can people get your music and where can they especially get the book? Trust me.
Yeah.
You want to read this.
Preach that. Yeah, definitely. I think the book, we're firstly going to be selling it Friday late, right? So 29 July, you can have opportunity to purchase it. The music is everywhere. My website is meetluminous.com, METLUMINOUS. Same handle across all social media platforms. So you can access it. It's everywhere. Whatever you use, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. If you want to purchase for download, my website is there. So yeah,
All right, and one more thing before we leave.
Yes.
You mentioned that you are collaborating like with the British Council as well,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's a route that many artists take.
Yeah.
People see it as this like other entity
Yes,
altogether. Tell us about that journey and how you've benefited for that.
Oh, definitely. A big shout out to Kura Agency, Tembeteri. The job she's doing is amazing. K Media Africa. So they are the reason why we get this opportunity, because British Council, Swiss Agency are like the implementing partners. So I was part of a workshop, right, and it's called Scripts and Bars, like the whole experience. And while we were learning how to use e-commerce as artists and stuff, there was an opportunity to say, apply what we've taught you to, you know, get this grant and see how you can create a project and stuff. So we sent in our proposals, and fortunately, I was one of the people that got nominated for that, and you know, and it came through. And they've been gracious. It's not like an issue of like, yeah, we're just gonna give you the money, then we want pictures and take credit. It's like they're there with you every step of the way. You know, it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, right. And they actually send in the suggestions like, yo, I think that is great, but imagine if you can also do that. So it kind of opens up your mind to a whole new possibilities, and they create opportunities, and they're still doing that. So yeah, I'm quite grateful for that.
Okay, congratulations to you, and congratulations on the EP, and congratulations on this very raw book.
Right?
So, Luminous, thank you so much for joining us on the Breakfast Club. We wish you all the best with your career and everything else to come, and we'll definitely be there Friday late on the 29th of July.
Yes, please.
Yes, you've heard it for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Breakfast Club right here on Asaki, and I was joined by Luminous in studio talking about his EP as well as his latest release, his first book,
Confessions of a Fornicator.
Yes, so make sure you head out and you get yourself a copy of this book, and please don't forget to like and to follow us on all our social media sites, White Site ZW on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as on TikTok. From myself, Fungai, cheers.